Hi, I'm Ben Graham.
Hi, I'm Martin Webb. We're from Graham Financial. We're going to give you a few points about the recent budget.
I think everyone's take on this will vary depending on their situation, but I'd say the changes to super and the downsizer contributions will get a lot of attention because they also coincide with the first indexation of the various super caps. The downsizer contribution is a super contribution that you can make when you're selling your home. However, unlike the name implies, you don't actually need to downsize to make a downsizer contribution. In fact, you aren't even required to buy another home. The change announced is to the minimum age, from 65 to age 60. But the real opportunity is when you look at how this will work with the other changes announced. Historically, to make a super contribution when you're 67 or older, you needed to pass the work test. Whilst this test is largely being abolished, it will continue for some types of contributions. In addition, those aged 65 to 74 will now be able to utilise the bring forward rule. The bring forward rule allows you to make up to 3 years of super contributions in 1 year. This was previously restricted to those under 65. Look, in my opinion, the old rules were confusing and excessively restrictive, as some required you to be under 65 or under 67 and others over 65. Whilst this worked for some, it unduly penalised many. Going forward, this added flexibility will mean more people will be able to put more into super if they so choose.
This has been a big spending budget with some good measures. The aged care initiatives, for example, should provide a positive outcome for our elderly. More broadly, it could be said that the global pandemic has given policymakers moral authority to spend money they don't have, as long as it can be seen to save lives and jobs. This budget, more than any budget in recent decades, is funded by debt. The underlying cash balance shows a record deficit, both in absolute terms and as a percentage of GDP. This massive fiscal spend comes alongside interest rates close to zero bound. With such accommodative fiscal and monetary policy settings, inflation expectations are the key consideration. Are we currently seeing a temporary increase in inflation, like policymakers are suggesting, or is it more than that? No one really knows, of course, and we can only hope that policymakers have the humility to admit this, if only behind closed doors. What we can say with greater certainty is that there is a time in the future when inflation will ask policymakers to make decisions on more traditional economic grounds rather than through the lens of a global pandemic.
I hope you enjoyed that brief budget update.
We recognise this material can be complex, so please reach out if you have any questions.